What's up, everyone? We're here at the Toe-to-Toe Fight Show. We're at Madison Square Garden. What is it, adjacent? What is this called?
The theater?
The theater.
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden Theater. We are here with the man, Chris Mannix, who got mobbed by fans more than any boxer. We saw it, Big Bang Zhang had like 2 people around him and like 12 people asked you for photos on the way up. We are here with Chris Mannix. We are watching fights. So yes, I'll hand the mic to you because this is the only mic we have.
What's up, guys? Good to be here. You guys put on an unbelievable show a few weeks back. I mean, look, I know how hard putting on club shows are, like the red tape that you have to steamroll through to do it, but you guys had an incredible crowd on that night. A great main event, a good young fighter that you just signed in Tommy O'Toole. We were talking about the big promoters have an interest in him, so he's got a big future. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do with him moving forward.
Cool. What are you thinking of this main event?
I think it's a great opportunity for women's boxing, for starters, right? Like, I was here in this building 2 years ago when Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano blew the roof off. Yep. I mean, that was one of the best environments that I've ever been in. Fast forward 2 years later, and, you know, Michaela Mayer and Sandy Ryan aren't the names that Katie and Amanda are, but like, Michaela's a well-known commodity in the U.S., a former Olympian, unified champion. I've called Sandy Ryan fights. Sandy Ryan's legit. Like, Sandy Ryan's got some pop. So I think it's going to be a great fight. I think if it is a great fight, it's going to really be a boost to women's boxing, which, we're being honest, has kind of flagged a little bit over the last couple of years. We haven't seen the next generation of women's boxers kind of emerge, but this, I think, would be a great showcase fight for it.
Yeah. One thing I thought was kind of, well, I don't know. I'm sure not weird at all, especially now that I feel like even as small fish in a big pond, or small fish in a small pond, if we're being honest, as promoters, everyone's at each other's throat. I noticed that there's also another card tonight with all female boxers. Isn't the Baumgardner fight tonight, right? So what do you think about that card as an aside?
That's a weird card because, you know, Baumgardner's making a title defense, and she's a Matchroom fighter as well. The purse bid was won by some other entity, not Matchroom. So my understanding is it's taking place kind of in a ballroom in Atlanta with only a select amount of fans that are in it. So I don't really get it. I think the greater point of that fight is Alycia Baumgardner getting back in the ring and defending her titles. She had the controversy last year with the positive drug test. If she can come through this fight, she can be a contender for some other big fights. I think Amanda Serrano is a possibility next year. You could have unified at 126 versus undisputed at 130. Sky Nicholson, I think, is a possibility for Alycia Baumgardner. So I think that for her is about, you know, getting back in the ring. She's got a tough opponent. Delphine Pursoon is legit. Yeah. Like, she throws a lot of punches, that woman. So that's not an easy fight. But if she comes through it, she's going to be in bigger fights early next year.
Do any fights stand out to you tonight or no? Because they, by the way, they don't have to.
Well, to be honest, before I came up to talk to you guys, I was taking a nap. I have an apartment like 2 blocks away, so I was sleeping there. Like, because these top-ranked ESPN shows are great. Don't get me wrong, but 10:30 starts for the main card are bonkers. They're absolutely bonkers. I don't know how you grow a fan base by starting a main event probably after midnight. I don't quite get that. But look, I like the Top Rank is putting all their young guys on this roster. You've got the New York-based guys in Shushu Carrington, Xander Zayas. Both those guys are going to be in world title fights most likely next year. So I like the showcase aspect of it. As far as the prelims, I think I was watching the Vince McMahon documentary at the time they all started. So
That's awesome. As I was telling you earlier, we have fights coming up. We have our next club show is at Oceanside. It's the old Club Lido, the old Wonderland racetracks in November, and then we have March and February actually lined up as well. So if you're in the area, obviously, I'll talk to my partner. We'll see if we put some media credentials. Although it's funny too, we had the kid at the ticket desk. We're like, all right, if fucking Chris Mannix shows up, man, and he knows, just let him fucking walk in, dude. He's like, oh my god, I listen to your podcast. So he's like, and so that was great.
Look, you guys are doing, like, when I saw what you guys were doing there, like, you're doing the exact right thing, especially with Tommy, right? Like, my advice, if there's any advice, is to put him on as many as possible, right? Like, one thing I think that club shows get wrong, or these smaller developmental shows get wrong, is that they try to showcase everybody. Like, that's not what you want to do. You want to showcase one guy and get him next level. My broadcasting career began with NBC Sports when main events had kind of a club series with them. And they were brilliant at developing Sergey Kovalev, developing Curtis Stevens, developing Gabe Rosado, developing Brian Jennings. These guys were on every single one of their shows. Like, I see so many club shows out there, and it's like, look, it's great to have a bunch of guys on the card, but you want the one guy that people are buying tickets for. You got an Irish kid that can punch from Boston.
Right.
You've got gold, I think, on your hands for local market.
Yeah, the idea. Well, I mean, it's hard to talk about it, without sounding self-congratulatory and just kind of like, jerk-offs, honestly. But it's the Boston scene has become such a parody that regardless if you attach yourself to a single fighter or not, it was a guy you knew that you either worked with in the union or you see at the VFW. And he fought just the same Uber drivers 12 times in a row, but he sold 100 tickets. So we're trying to get away from that, where we want competitive bouts on the undercard, but we also, like, people have approached us and, like, looking to sign with us, and we say no because we really don't want to spread ourselves thin. We want a guy like O'Toole, like you were saying. We want a 6'3" southpaw from Galway that is Thomas O'Toole. He sounds like a fake name I would give a cop if I got pulled over if I was in Dorchester, right? You know what I mean? So that's really the market as it is right now is ripe for the taking. Like, we're putting on shows in good venues, and I feel like good shows, and if we can put someone like a Thomas O'Toole at the front of those shows and keep him busy, I think we got a shot here. So
like, he's, like I was telling you before, like, he's catching the eye of the major promoters. I know some major managers. Brian Peters was telling me he's been watching him for a while, the manager of Katie Taylor, among others. He's got somebody on the card. He's got Sandy Ryan actually on the card tonight. So he's catching people's eye. Like, you keep developing him the way you're doing. You put him in with an experienced guy last time around who made no effort to win whatsoever, but he came and which one you told me, like, was he overweight for?
Oh my God!
So yeah, it was you. You had texted me, like, I laughed out loud when I read it's the message there, because I think I'm doing this story on, like, Journeyman for Sports Illustrated, and I think I was asking about talking to him. He's like, maybe not. He was, like, grossly overweight or something like that, and I'm like, okay. And then he went out there and just basically tried to survive. Which, look, it's not aesthetically pleasing for the crowd, but it's something that a guy like Tommy is going to have to figure out.
He needs the rounds, yeah.
He needs the rounds, and, like, I remember thinking to myself while the fight's going on, I'm like, he kept looking for that one big shot. I'm like, you got a referee there. One thing you have to remember, referees, they don't want to be there any longer than you do, right? Like, so if you go in there and you flurry and throw 15 punches, a ref's going to stop it. Yeah. Like, all knockouts are not created equal, man. Like, but it's still a knockout on your resume. Like, I felt there's a couple of times that if Tommy just went in there and just like, bop, 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 flurry, referee, like, you know what, this is dumb. This guy's down 8 rounds to none. Why am I bothering? He's just running around. But he'll learn that. He'll get better at that. I'm really looking forward to seeing his development over the next couple of years, and I'm sure we'll see him on a major card sometime in the next couple of years.
When you mentioned the Journeyman thing, so he shows up to weigh-ins. He's early. And my Spanish, I mean, you think my English is poor. So he rolls up, and I was like, 168? And he's like, and I was like, 160. He's like, mais o menos, And I was like, we have a scale. You want to get, he was 177. I go, what the fuck, man? So I called who I was working with at the time, Mike Reyes there. I was like, can you tell this guy to at least get, and he's like, oh yeah, he'll get in the sauna. And he just was scrolling through Instagram video. I was like, Chris, I don't know if this guy's even a fucking journeyman, dude. I was like, but like he was tough, but no, he ended up costing us money because we wanted to make O'Toole feel good, and was like, all right, we'll eat the overages. But yeah, that's kind of
that's the brutal part of small promoting too. Like, it's all coming out of your pocket at the very end. Like, guys like that fascinate me though. Like, guys that like are in their mid-30s, they're probably making like 1,000, whatever they're making, small chump change, and you keep doing it. Like, you're flying to Boston, Massachusetts to probably get your head caved in. Like, what possesses you to like not get some kind of low-paying job to do anything else? Anything else? It's crazy. But guys, there are a lot of guys. I did the story once. This guy named Derek Finley, who was from Gary, Indiana, and he's a chin for hire, basically.
I read it.
Yeah,
yes.
Like chin for hire. Like he just walks around and he fights these prospects, and like every 6 or 7 fights, he gets like 1 win. And it's like, well, that's gonna get him 5 more paydays right there. Like, those kind of guys fascinate me. Like, you're gonna be in your mid-30s, late 30s, early 40s, and you're still going to be doing that stuff. So being grossly overweight's not a good thing, but yeah, I can see why he's doing that.
But, you know, on the flip side of things, too, what we see in the club shows is that we get the other side of the coin, where it's these guys build up their records to 14-0 by paying those dudes $3,000 every single time, and then they go, oh, then I get, you know, here to Madison Square Garden Theater to get absolutely murdered for $20,000, but I go, you know, it costs you $50,000 to get killed for $20,000. You know what I mean? But they get to be 14-1 at every local bar. So yeah.
It's great. It's a living. Yep. It's a way to make a living. But like you said, he got good rounds out of it, went the distance. He'll learn from it. Still young. I love Mark DeLuca as his trainer, a great young trainer in Boston. You know, I think he's going to get a big future in the training ranks. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. Well, I'll be getting my passport stamped again in October for the Bivol Beterbiev fight in Riyadh. Yeah, awesome. I'll be at that.
Who are you picking?
I haven't decided yet. Like I lean towards Bivol because Bivol, he rises to the level of competition. Like when he fights somebody that's average, he kind of looks average. Yep. When he fights Canelo, he looks great. Yep. When he fights like guys that are on a higher level, he looks good against. And I think if he can go 12 with Beterbiev, I think he can beat him, and I think he's good enough to go 12.
Do you think any of the divorce stuff is going to affect it at all?
I was talking about that with some people ringside, and I mean, his wife is putting a lot of stuff on social media. It's a lot. So I know he doesn't train near her. I think they're separated physically. I know they're separated physically. So I don't know. His team is always told, because that's been going on for a while now, like this stuff. They've said he's kind of focused, but he didn't look good in his last fight. He went the distance, went with a late replacement in that last fight in Saudi. But it's definitely a variable in all this.
You are the absolute salt of the earth. I'm so grateful that you took the time to talk to us. I look forward to seeing you in glorious Revere. Mark will buy you some North Shore beefs when we're there. And do you have any suggestions for North Shore beefs in the area?
In Revere, no, Revere's kind of falling off.
Mark, that was Jesus Christ, Mark. That was not a serious question.
My father was a Boston cop forever. Yep. So like roots are in Dorchester. So I've eaten at every great Dorchester establishment ever. And Dorchester's changed like nobody. Like my father still goes to like the Erie Pub every Monday. Every single Monday. Like he'll call me sometimes and it'd be like a young lady just walked in. I'm like, how young? He's like 65. I'm like, all right. But everything around the Erie Pub is different, right? You got a nightclub that's around there now. So you say like Revere's changed. Everything in the Boston area has changed. Right.
Yeah, Charlestown is newlywed couples and French bulldogs, you know, and now it's not bank robbers anymore. So, Chris Mannix, you are the man. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolute pleasure, brother.
Thank you so much. We'll see you guys.